All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rebel Religion in the News. I'm Jerry O'Lennon, along with Pastor Alfredo Romero of Rock of Life Fellowship and Bishop Peter Hansen of St. Augustine Anglican Church. We're going to talk about The Passion, not just the sequel, but the original movie, which is coming to big screens ahead of the two sequels that are coming up in 2027. Good morning to you guys.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is interesting news. Mel Gibson's masterpiece from 2003. It's hard to believe that movie is now 23 years old.
That's crazy.
That is.
Yes, it's going to be shown in Dolby Sound Stereo on the big screen from September 10th through September 17th. It's going to be remastered in 4K. So for that 1 week, and we don't know, I have not looked to find out whether it's going to appear. It's probably going to appear nationwide. It's a pretty big deal. And anyway, it's coming back out, the original. And your thoughts on that? I think it's, I've seen it so many times. I don't think I'm going to go to the theater to see it again. I have it on DVD. I don't see a point for me going to the movie theater again to see it. Mm-hmm. Will you do it just to get the experience of wanting to see it on the big screen again?
Probably not, but because I like you, I have it on the DVD. I can watch it when I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife is so tender conscience and heart that she's seen it once and she can't bear to do it again. There's a lot of people like that.
It's a hard watch.
Yeah, I'm kind of there. I've seen it once in the theater, and I do have the DVD.
Right.
And the DVD I have says, there's one side of the disc, and then is the Aramaic.
Yeah.
But there's a second disc that's in English.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I have that. Here's a catch though, and it's in your article. I don't mean to jump on the news here, but the pull to go see this again is that there's going to be a special preview, Jerry.
Yeah, it's going to be basically a trailer, as they're called, of the new movie, the Resurrection of what's the name? What's the official title again?
Resurrection of the Christ.
The Resurrection of the Christ, Part 1. It's going to be 2 parts, and it's going to. We've talked a lot about that, but basically it's what happens to Jesus right after he rises from the dead, and explain the Bible. He's gone for what, 40 days, and no. When does he come back? He comes back and roams the earth about 2 or 3 days in hell. How long is he in hell before he comes back out?
Well, it's less than 2 full days.
Oh, it is. Okay.
That he's dead in the grave. His body is lying in the tomb. But we call it Holy Saturday, and that's when he goes the harrowing of hell.
Right. So this takes place before he rises from the dead.
Right.
Okay. Right. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Right.
Yeah. And
they skip by that in the Passion. They just have him standing up, and they see the hole in his hand and walking forward.
Right.
From the tomb. Very dramatic.
So it's interesting that you said that that your wife Geedy has seen it one time and never wanted to see it again, and there are people.
She favors it. It's not with disfavor.
Oh right, yeah, yes, and that's how. But it's a very difficult watch, and I'm of the same mind when they do the flogging scene.
That's the hardest thing.
That's the hardest thing to watch,
yeah.
And it's about 11 minutes long, and I literally leave the room. I put a stopwatch on one, and I come back after 11 minutes. And see the blood, and I'm like, I don't want to see any more of that.
Jim Caviezel probably can't watch it either because his shield slipped. He had a whole construction on the back where they were whipping him, so they could whip him without actually hurting the actor. But that shield slipped, and he got full force a couple times. Mm-hmm. Just like when he was up on the cross, when they pulled his arm out to nail him with tension, they pulled his shoulder out.
Mm-hmm. I do think it's a good idea to show it because, again, this is a whole new generation that hasn't seen the movie.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, and I remember on a non-religious, secular movie, they had the 50th anniversary of Jaws came out. Okay. Came out in 1975. Mm-hmm. It was about a year ago, and they showed it on the big screen here in Chico.
Yeah.
It was only there for 2 or 3 days, but it was wonderful because my son obviously hadn't seen this movie. And so he wanted to see it on the big screen, and it got a whole new audience. and
Yeah.
they're like, "This is the coolest movie I've ever seen in my life." You know, I mean, this is like that. You said, and it was so much fun because they're like, "Dad, did you see this movie?" I said, "You were like 15 years old." I said, "No, I wouldn't go see it. I was too frightened to go see that movie. I wouldn't go see it until I was older."
That's so iconic, that song. It actually was considered the very first blockbuster.
Right.
And I grew up in Hawaii, so try seeing that movie in Hawaii.
And go out in the water.
Nobody would go. And there'd be a few guys, like the local guys, man. We'd go out surfing, all that stuff like that. But all like the tourists and some of the locals too, you could not believe how crowded the beaches were because nobody was in the water. Very few people go in the water. And I think that lasted for, I think I was 13. I think it lasted for about 4 to 6 weeks, if I remember, of people not really going in the water.
Well, when this movie does come back out, we're talking about the original Passion of the Christ, which was filmed and came out in 2003. It will have been 24 years, literally a whole generation. So there's going to be people who are in their 20s, 25, no, people older than that, people who are 30, 35, who probably, well, not, no, I know, if you've been, maybe you saw it, but there's a lot of people that maybe have never even seen this movie.
Sure.
And so there's a need to be a cautionary statement about people who want to go see this movie.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, because between then and now, the last 23, 4 years, we have watched aliens. We have watched things popping out of somebody's chest. I mean, we've seen more horror,
Yeah.
and we've gotten used to it.
But this horror is so real.
I know.
That's the thing, because
That's-
we think when we see the alien, with Sigourney Weaver and
Right.
Aliens popping out of the chest, sometimes I look at that and I just laugh, like, this is ridiculous. You know?
Not to mention the bloody movies. There will be blood in all these other movies that are
right.
extremely violent, blood and shot and slashed and killed. And then there's the horror movies with the knives and all that stuff. But what makes this difference? Number one,
It doesn't do that.
no, this doesn't do that. This is about the persecution of Jesus. And if you don't believe it, the persecution of a man, if you don't believe, but the truth is, this is our Lord and Savior. This is the Son of God, and this is historical. So I think that's knowing that he went through this, knowing that I know a lot of non-believers that saw this movie and came out and said, he did that for me.
There were actors in the actual making of this film who were converted just to have seen what was going on there.
Yeah, the actor who played Barabbas, apparently, yes.
Yeah.
But one of the things, and we're only talking about 2 more months from now, because this is supposed to come out in movie theaters in September 10th through the 17th, and there's going to be people, maybe young people, 16, 18 years old, 20, going on a date. Let's go on a date. Well, I heard about this movie, let's go see it. And they might not even be aware of what's in store. Because there have been times when I was on because back in the old days, when people go on dates and you have, dinner and a movie, you'd go see a movie and sometimes you didn't even know what the movie was about. You look in the newspaper, you wouldn't even look at a review. You just think, I'll go, this sounds like an interesting movie, the Passion of the Christ. This might be an interesting movie. But,
I think you'll forget who you took and all you remember is the movie in this
right.
case.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Unfortunately, in my case, that is true. Yeah. But I guess the question is this kind of movie, we take it for granted because we've seen it when it first came out. We're older. We know what's there. We're prepared.
Yeah.
But there are young people now who would want to go see this movie who maybe are not prepared for it. Is it okay for people? I know a pastor I won't name, and he says he won't go see an R-rated movie because he wants to set an example for his children. I don't agree with that. And I think a lot of people don't, but he believes really not to. So he's never seen this particular movie, and I think that's kind of a disservice in some ways to his congregation because he should know what's out there. Is there anything that is so worrisome about seeing this movie where people should be prepared? Because we take it for granted. We've seen it when we seen it 25 years ago. We know what's there. We know what to expect. Is it good for even somebody 17, 18, 19, 20 years old to see this movie if they don't have a better understanding of what's involved?
I don't think it can hurt him. You could if you know somebody with a very tender conscience and who is going to be hurt by such imagery and such a subject matter, you make that plain to them. You know, you're going to see Jesus crucified, and it's really going to be very real. That's the point of that making of that movie. They even did hold some holds on that movie. I mean, he wasn't straight naked on the cross, which would have been true. And
I believe the stakes were actually supposed to have been put in his
wrists.
and not his palms, the way the Romans did crucifixions. I don't know if that's accurate.
If you put it in the palms, it's going to pull right straight out through your fingers, and you're
Right.
going to lose it unless you're also tied. So it is presumed that's still hands. If it's behind the bone that comes across this way.
Yes. It's supposedly here so that it doesn't rip.
Right.
This is what I've heard.
It's just ghastly.
But it's basically here. And I will tell you one thing. The first movie showed like a 12-hour period. It was called linear, right? It just showed like a 12-hour. But this movie is going to jump from time. It's going to have different scenes of different moments, I would say, not necessarily time. And I just wanted to read this. It says that there's going to show a cosmic battle,
You're
expensive.
talking about the next movie.
Yeah,
Dave.
The resurrection.
Just to make it clear,
Yeah.
they're going to replay the original, the
Yes.
2003
The Passion.
original, the Passion, September 10th through the September 17th, and they're going to show like a trailer of the new movie, who has a new actor playing Jesus, a new actor playing pretty much all of the key characters in the Passion story.
Yeah, they were going to do the original Jim Caviezel, but you know it's 23 years later.
Trying
and
to
they-
young him up, it would be.
Yeah, de-age would be expensive. But this is the new movie, The Resurrection of the Christ, is going to be in two parts. One in 2027, the other one a year later, is part two. But it's going to show expansive scenes exploring the fall of angels, Lucifer, hell, and Sheol, detailing Christ's ascent into the realm of the dead. They're going to show the 40 days of Christ walking the earth. So it's going to be extremely detailed. That's why it takes two parts.
You know, we're going to continue our discussion. We're talking about the Passion of the Christ, but on a bigger scale. Is it okay for young people, 17, 18, to see R-rated movies, or should R-rated movies be off limits for some of us? We'll be right back. There's a pastor I know very well, and he wants to set an example for his young youth groups, and has never seen an R-rated movie, including The Passion, because he thinks that he wants to set an example that young people should not see R-rated movies. I take exception with this. I said, you know, if you want to avoid content, R-rated content, then your young people shouldn't read the Bible. The Bible's full of R-rated content. In fact, maybe even more so, double R-rated.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure that's a really effective argument, but there's some people who believe that. And I kind of want to explore that a little bit, because there are some movies, even if they're PG, might not have good Christian values. And if there are movies that are R-rated that have good Christian values, to tell good stories, but they have some violence, maybe they have some sexual situations that put it into the R-rated category, but are still valuable lessons that somebody could learn from watching a great work of art. You were telling me about a pastor that you know, Alfredo, about somebody who had talked to the congregation about seeing R-rated movies.
Yeah, it was actually during a meeting of all the leaders and volunteers, and the pastor was basically talking about what we see and what we hear in guarding our hearts, and it's not what goes in a person, what goes out defiles them. And we're just talking about, and he says, and the whole thing is that's why I don't watch R-rated movies. And he goes, "Amen," and it was silent. There's probably 30 people, leaders there, and they did not amen to that. We don't watch R-rated movies.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a little awkward.
About 25 years ago, we were going up for a pastor's prayer summit up in the mountains and taking a school bus that was loaded up with pastors. And this guy sitting next to me said, you know, those Beatles, you know, I've never listened to the Beatles, you know. I mean, you never listened to the Beatles? I mean, how innocent could it be? The first 10 albums were just tremendous, just love songs, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, what's wrong with the Beatles? I don't get it. And later he left early because, you know, we had communion in a way that made him feel like he'd been violated. There are some people who have hyper filters on, And I don't down them for that. I mean, if that's where they live, God bless them.
I mean,
There's some people who can't have Facebook, because
there are
unfiltered
cartoons on
content.
TV that are much worse to see than an R-rated movie sometimes. There's a cartoon called Family Guy, and sometimes it's actually pretty funny. But then they start doing things where they're mocking Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Jesus is a virgin. We have to change, and it's so insulting. I think that's the kind of thing that you want to keep your kids away from. But seeing an R-rated movie that depicts Jesus' sacrifice and saying, well, it's R-rated, you shouldn't see it, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No.
This is my personal opinion. If I read the Bible, and if I'm correct on this, and I believe I am, it's about content. It's about the content. It's about, is this something that is realistic, historical, that I could learn from? I'm not going to go see, and I don't see the demon movies, the possessed nun
No, God,
movies,
no.
the killer slasher. I
Right.
don't see those movies.
No.
I really don't. But I've seen movies like, you go through the line: Schindler's List, Saving Private
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah.
I saw other movies that were rated R. Matter of fact, I've got a little list here.
Yeah, how could you not see
Go ahead.
Saving Private Ryan and think that's a movie, it's an R-rated movie because it has seen tremendous violence, almost on the same level as what we saw with the Passion of the Christ.
There's not even a woman in that whole movie that I can remember.
They're actually secretaries, I believe, who took the messages.
Okay.
Yeah,
brief scene, yeah.
back in the early scene, and then the mother who gets the news.
At the graveyard.
Well,
the
actually, the
graveyard
mother who
scene.
gets that terrible visit that
Right.
her sons had
And
died.
and she crumbles.
Yeah, so but there's basically, I don't think there's hardly any dialogue by any of them.
What was the movie with Andrew Garfield? The true story of the pacifist. Basically, he didn't want to carry a gun. He ended up saving dozens and dozens of men. Was that Hamburger Hill, or was that?
I know which one you're talking about.
Sawmill.
Yeah.
Sawmill.
Oh,
yeah. They all run together
Cross.
because
But there are movies that I think are acceptable, and I believe Passion of the Christ and the upcoming Resurrection is acceptable. But to me, it's about content. I listen. As Christians, we should not see anything that is hypersexual, sexual. All these sex movies, the killer slasher movies. I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, and all that. I refuse to watch those movies.
Right.
But there comes a time where I look at a movie. Anyway, but there's a couple. I just want to mention real quick. There
Let
was
me illustrate something in this.
King's Speech and things like that. Go ahead.
Okay, King's Speech. Yeah. At the time that our Gospels were written, everybody in the world knew what a crucifixion looked like. They didn't have to spell it out. They said he was crucified between two thieves. And they didn't have to describe that and say, that means the nail went through here and the blood spurted out. Because the people had seen these. They had witnessed it. They knew death close up. They didn't have to have somebody come from downtown and pick up somebody's body. They buried them themselves. So people had a visceral, real contact experience of death and horror that they were used to. So they didn't have to elaborate it. But we in this century, we have this stylized mode of death. It makes it unrealistic. In all the video games that kids play, they kill 5,000 people and they all get up after the game over because nobody really dies. That movie, The Passion, showed a very real progression of violence done against our Savior and Lord, who is the God of our world and beyond.
The movie you were referencing was a Mel Gibson movie, Hacksaw Ridge.
Thank you.
Excellent.
That was the one.
That's
He did a series of very violent films in succession, rapid fire succession: Hacksaw Ridge, Braveheart, Apocalypto, and of course, The Passion of the Christ. He does violence very well.
But it's realistic violence. Like
Right.
I saw Apocalypto. That was basically kind of a semi-historical story on I think it was the Mayans, and some of they would do child sacrifice and they would do slavery, and it was very violent, but it was an extremely great movie. I don't mind seeing that because I realized what it was.
And you know what? I'm glad this is coming out again for a second time in movie theaters. And I'll say something that you might not agree with, Pastor Alfredo, but I think that the movies that are the Christian movies that come out now by what's it called, Video Angel.
Angel Network, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're very saccharine. I think they're too goody two shoes, and I don't think they really speak to the real world and what Christians face. And so I've tried to watch a few of them, and I've always been disappointed. I mean, to be honest with you, I kind of wish there was some cussing in it. I kind of wish there was a little bit of violence in it because it's the real world. And it seems to me when I watch those angel video movies, they're living in a world that didn't exist, has never existed, and will never exist. And I don't think it does justice. I would rather have the hard, coarse reality of life that we live and how we approach that as Christians. And so that's why I'm really glad this movie's coming out, because I don't think the current crop of pictures, Christian-related themed pictures, really do justice to what God does in our lives. Because it seems like none of them are facing really bad problems. And anyway, I don't know if you would agree with that. I get the feeling you probably don't, because I know you like those movies a little bit more than I do.
No, I would, real quick, yes, I somewhat agree with you, but you need to look at the last few movies Angel Network's putting out. It's changing. They've come up with a few more.
Brothers, the Kendrick Brothers productions, those.
Yes.
Like, yeah. They were very saccharine in the beginning and a little too good, but the most recent ones deal with real people and hard things. And yeah, sure, they don't have cars exploding and people dismembered and
and a man with two families, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, kind of a thing. Unless there's redemption stories.
Anyway, things have changed. I don't know if I have a problem. I mean, I don't know if I have a problem if it's in a movie and you're warned and they use a couple of F-bombs, even in a Christian movie, as long as those people are dealt with, and long as that's viewed as not acceptable and something that is not something that would please God. At least you're dealing in a real world environment. And I think that's one of the reasons I think that I think we have to remember that this movie came out 24 years ago. It was a huge, a blockbuster, and so unique that we kind of take it for granted a quarter of a century later. And how young people, new viewers are going to see this and how they're going to be bowled over. And I think they should see it.
I agree. I wonder what Hollywood's reaction to it will be this time it's re-released. If they'll go ballistic like they did last time and claim it's anti-Semitic. Now they're the anti-Semites today. 23 years later. So I'm really wondering what they're going to do and how that's going to affect the viewership. How that's going to affect people going to it. Whether it's going to be what it claims to be. I think the voice of Hollywood crying out in its wilderness to the world to change and be their way is already lost its appeal to the masses, because I think Hollywood is speaking it only for itself.
Yeah.
If I remember right, Mel Gibson 23 years ago had this interview. He says, a lot of the money that he put in was his own.
Right, it was.
You can't get financiers for a Christian movie, especially one that's accurate, or mostly accurate, I would say. And then the big thing is, I believe it was Diane Sawyer asked him, so are you saying the Jews killed Jesus? Who's responsible for the death of Jesus? And he looks at her and says, all of us.
We are.
We are.
Yeah.
We're all responsible.
And in fairness, I think, by the way, I think Diane Sawyer did a very good job on that interview, because that was a very fair question.
Yeah,
that was a question a lot of people don't know.
Sure.
And I think sometimes we as Christians just assume people know what we already know. And this is why I think it's going to be wonderful for this movie to come back out again September 10th to the 17th. The 2003 original, it'll be remastered in theaters on the big screen, The Passion of the Christ. We are out of time. I want to thank Bishop Peter Hansen of St. Augustine Anglican Church. And of course,
welcome.
Thank you so much. And of course, Pastor Alfredo Romero of Rock of Life. Hey, thanks, guys. Talk to you next time. Remember, go to church and say your prayers. So long.
That's right.